All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Theory and Theology. Here in this podcast, we talk about cultural topics, spirituality, religion. I don't even know. Honestly, I'm all over the place. Let's be real. Yeah, you guys have probably noticed I'm not really posting on here daily. Um, it's fine. It's kind of purposeful. I'm trying something different, but it seems like this podcast kind of gets more traction. Just it's a little hard to come up with topics every day because it kind of depends. Like if I'm studying stuff, it's a little bit easier to post every day. But lately I haven't really been like studying anything like directly too much. Like there were some topics I dove into and then I wasn't really studying them too much after that. So it kind of just depends, but yeah, I've been just trying to kind of more so consume other content of other people lately. Like that's kind of what I've been up to this week. Just kind of seeing what's out there. Like I like to stay up to date on stuff. And I don't even know what this topic is called, but I'm sure I'm not the only one experiencing it because I just know I'm not. Like I mentioned before, I talk to people most of the day. So there's kind of this like energy going around that's just not helpful energy, and it's just easy to get sucked into, and I know kind of how algorithms work and how recommendations work with like different apps and whatnot, and I know what I usually search for, but it is a little bit of a challenge to be constantly just exposed to uh like content related to, I don't even want to call it reality, but content related to just general updates, news. I guess we could just call it news. World news, local news, all the news. Just all the news is sucking. But I kind of want to talk about this like juxtaposition between like a method of like positive thinking, not positive as in like ignore the fact if you feel shitty or whatever, but positive as in just how sometimes it just takes a little bit to kind of shift the attention to something a little more helpful. So I can use myself as an example because that's probably the easiest thing to do, and I don't really mind sharing about my life. Like, I mean, I'm on here all the time doing that anyways. So basically, people who listen on here or who know me in my real life, all y'all know, I'm up early in the morning. Like, lately my sleep has greatly improved. Thankfully, it's probably a bit better in the last maybe week-ish than it has been in probably the last 3 or 4 years, in all honesty. Which for me is like a big thing because, I've always had trouble sleeping, always. I mean, I still kind of do, but, I mean, if you're not sleeping well, your days just aren't going to easily go good. Like, it kind of forces things to get, compensation in other areas to try to, make up for, feeling tired or whatever, or exhausted, and people know I get into like this caffeine cycle that's really not helpful for me. And I mean, I don't even drink that much coffee, but sometimes I'm like, okay, a little coffee and then maybe even a little bit of coffee, but later in the day instead of like around noon, like later than that, just to kind of get through the, not sleeping, after work or something. Like, I don't want to be sleeping at like 4 p.m. Like, I want to be like up and like doing like, I have other goals I'm trying to deal with. I'm not trying to be like, okay, just like wake up super early in the morning, work, and then go to bed. Like, I don't want to be taking naps and stuff. It screws up my sleep cycles and everything. So, that kind of issue with like having to compensate for stuff, just because one area is lacking, that's definitely something that I've definitely dealt with on a regular basis. And, I'm trying to kind of not really do that, like not, it's hard for me to not push myself to do things past, what's healthy for me. Like, I know the expectations of like what is the most healthy thing for me to do. I know the healthiest things for myself to do, but I don't always do them. And it's hard for me to kind of not want to, slow down. Like, it's hard for me to slow down. Like, I'd rather just like plow through, just like keep going, bulldoze. Like, that's kind of how I've lived life for a long time. And it's gotten me places, but also it's also gotten in the way, in all honesty. It's gotten me places, and then it's gotten me to places where I didn't want to be, or it's gotten me, not able to finish some of the stuff I was trying to do, because, like, you can only push so much, right? And so, I tend to not really hit the pause or stop button early. I tend to wait until things are kind of just like falling apart, literally, till I'm like, oh shit, I need to like slow down. Like, let me pay attention to the fact that my body and mind are just like acting all weird and doing all this stuff, and then I'll stop, But I mean, how long does it take me really to learn that like that's not really I can't really do that forever. And so I've been kind of doing like this whole kind of workshop method with myself. I'm not doing this necessarily by myself, but there are others involved, but kind of like whatever. I'm not really talking about their situation, but kind of pushing myself in the other direction, like pushing myself to kind of take better care of myself instead of pushing myself to, ignore myself and then just plow through to get to whatever the end result is that I'm trying to get to. So just recently, I've been, tuning back into some things that I've found helpful in the past. On Instagram, there's Jaime Messina, JaimeMessina, lesbian Instagram, kind of self-empowerment life coach type person. Really cool content, and I've really been enjoying it, and just something as simple as, like this morning, like last night, I know I slept early. I know I slept on time. I woke up early as usual, and a lot of this week, I've been waking up early, recording podcast episodes early in the morning, before work, like starting around like 6:30 in the morning, which works for me because I'm freaking up. Like, what else am I gonna do? Like, usually I just lay there and try to go back to sleep, but 99% of the time I'm not going to go back to sleep. So I just wake up, because I always kind of tell myself, okay, if I don't go back to sleep now, I'm going to be tired. Once I start work, I'm going to be more tired. And then I'm kind of realizing that's not really the case. Like, I'm up and I can just stay up and be up all day till like 10 o'clock at night or so. And it actually is a little bit working in my favor. But then another thing is like, who wants to be up at like 5:15 in the morning if you're not feeling good, right? It's like, that is not fun. It's like, I've got about like 2 hours and 45 minutes before I have to go to work or start working, and I'm not going to be feeling great for like almost 3 whole hours. Like, I'm just going to be laying there just like I don't want to work, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And it's like, okay, like, what's the point of that? Like, that's just wasted, like, almost 3 hours of a morning to be wasted just thinking like that. That's not a helpful way to start the day. And then I also noticed, what I was mentioning about, like, social media and stuff that gets recommended. It's not helpful also to have, just news, being bombarded with news. Like, I've mentioned before how I actively don't watch the news, how I actively am not too engaged with television. But, since my move back, with family for now, I have been more engaged with television because I'm watching sports more because I like sports. And, my dad's got like all the sports channels pretty much. And so I can literally just watch sports all day long. Like, literally, LA has so many teams and so many sports that, like, I mean, some weekends literally I've watched like 4 or 5 games in a day, 4, 5, 6 games. It's like maybe not full games, but like the other day I watched, I don't remember which days were which, but I remember watching Galaxy, LAFC, Dodgers. I mean, I'm not an Angels fan, but they're playing all the time too. And then I think I was watching like San Diego State college football. Not that long ago, I watched like Rams versus Chargers game. Like, watching some WNBA. Like, there's just sports on all the time, and especially on weekends. And so, just watching games is like, I find sports just very motivating to watch because it's like, at least it's people who are professional people, working as a team usually to like, you can tell that they put like so much energy into, like, even if they're not winning, you can tell there's like so much strategy. Like, I don't know. I just like watching sports. Just, I don't even care who wins sometimes. I'm just watching it. Like, of course, if it's my local teams, I want them to win, but sometimes I'll just watch just because it's like, it's almost better than any other type of content to watch, in my opinion, just because it's just so motivating to see people just like, they worked hard for this game, and they're always working hard, they're staying in shape, they're practicing together, they're doing their own things, they're tracking their own results, they're trying to like strategize. And like, I think just that mindset in general is just good to try to carry into life, and just seeing kind of how they do that with the pressure of like crowds and fans and media and everything. Like, there's a lot of performance related things, they have to be able to manage their anxiety and focus, and like, there's just a lot that can be learned from just watching people play. Like, I was watching this WNBA game with like I think the last weekend, it was like Arizona and like Vegas or something like that, and they were like neck and neck like at the end for like a while, and then it went into overtime, and then again, like, it was like people were just like 3-pointers at the buzzer, and like like it was a really exciting game. You could check out the highlights. I think it was on Labor Day weekend. I can't remember what day, honestly, because I watched so much sports like during that like 3-4 day period. But it's just it's kind of hard to find that morning motivation. I know I'm not the only one that wakes up and is just like, okay, like, yeah, like, I'm ready to start the day, and like, I'm excited about it's Thursday. I'm happy. It's like, usually it's like you wake up, it's like, damn it, it's morning already. Like, that's usually how it kind of goes. Um, but this morning I got to thinking, and I was like, okay, like, I don't really need to be filling my brain with like, even like the YouTube content, because I don't watch the news. I don't, I try to avoid like ads and commercials and stuff when it's on like, sports channels. There's going to be commercials and things. I don't mind them telling me what games are coming on next, but I don't need to see these commercials with like these depressed people or like whatever it is. Like, sometimes the commercials themselves are just like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't need to like see that, or like all these people with their problems and like the medications and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't need that in my mind. Just tell me what the next sport is. Like, I don't really need all that. So I have noticed I'm being more exposed to that, definitely, to that kind of content. One of the YouTubers that I like to follow, they're really getting into these like, they have like a mission type of project that they do that I think is very good, but it's like saving Amish people from like sexual abuse situations and things. And so they're posting a lot about that, and it's kind of like, sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to see the thumbnails, about like, all these people being abused. And like, it's not like detailed information if you don't like start watching it, but it's like, still, it's like, I'm trying not to really watch it. And then it's like, that on top of like the economic crash, and then the weather problems and all these other people, and like, oh, there's gonna be more, inflation, and all the, it's just, the story. Like, I don't even need to go through all the lines of it. Like, everybody's hearing it. Like, everybody's kind of getting more exposed to these things. And I love finance news. I love economic related topics, but lately it's becoming just very like doom and gloom. Like, nobody's really talking about the stock market much anymore. Everyone's talking more about like quiet quitting, and about, with work, and about like the economy, and like, what jobs and all this kind of stuff. And so it's just I'm not finding it very beneficial. Like, a lot of the stuff that just is naturally coming my way, I'm not finding it beneficial. So I'm kind of having to like actively go out of my way to like avoid it. And I've noticed, like, usually the first thing, I'll do when I wake up is just kind of pick up my phone and like see what's going on online. And, when it's just like negative, and then I'm already like, like, do I really want to be up yet? And then I know I'm not going to fall back asleep, like, because that's not going to happen. And so, I'm trying to kind of curb that a little bit, like, to a place that like makes more sense. And so, it has been kind of nice, waking up, checking out like Jamie Messina's lives on Instagram. And I feel like my Instagram, I did get on TikTok again, guys. I'm gonna delete it after this week, but there was some content I wanted to check out, because there's some LA YouTubers doing some stuff that I couldn't really get the information. So basically, there's this this LA team. They're a women's football team, and they're not necessarily like a lesbian YouTuber team, football team, but a lot of the YouTubers that are on the team, are professional football players. They're females that just happen to be lesbians, or gay of some sort, LGBT people. So they're, I find it cool, because like there really isn't a professional, a major league like women's football team. So I'm kind of hoping, honestly, that one starts to exist. I would love to see the development of that, So I'm kind of like, on their content and stuff. And there's an event in LA. I think it's at the chapel, Abbey Chapel. I don't know. I think it's up there. I think it's today. I don't remember. But the team's gonna be up there, and like I'm like, I don't know. I got work today. I don't know if I want to drive after work to go all the way up to Hollywood. That sounds like a bit excessive. I don't have AC in my car, and it's gonna be like 90 something degrees on the coast, so I don't even know how hot it's gonna be out there. And I'm just kind of like, that just sounds like a lot. Like maybe if it was on like Saturday, but they're gonna be there. And I really wanted to check it out, but then I was like, I wanted to check out their TikToks and all this other kind of stuff. And so I got on TikTok, and then, I try to like control myself on there, and I'm like, I am not scrolling through this stupid thing. Like I try to tell myself, I'm literally just going to search for what I'm searching for. And that is so hard to remember to even do. But I'm like, I'm not going to scroll around and just get recommended stuff to watch. I'm just going to think about what is it that I'm actually here for to try to look at. And then I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to log out. Like, I'm not trying to be on there. Because then, next thing I know, it was like a couple hours later, and I've just been sitting there watching like all these clips of God only knows what. And like, yeah. But yeah, just generally, I'm not saying that like things are gonna be perfect in the mornings or working perfectly in the mornings or whatever, but I did have like quite a lot of great days, where I've been sleeping good, and then waking up great, feeling good, feeling motivated. Like, it's kind of nice to wake up and just like start podcasting and stuff. Like, I kind of like that, even though my brain's like not fully going yet. But I'm probably shifting my coffee time from 8 a.m. to like 6:30 a.m. because I'm already hydrating early. So I'm like, well, if I'm podcasting, I might as well be a little bit alert, other than just like super, super groggy. But you guys are getting like the early morning me, it's like I don't even have anything to do yet. I still got about 40 minutes till I gotta work. But yeah, just waking up early and just starting to do stuff. With this heat wave going on right now, it's harder for me to record podcast episodes because of the way our house is set up. Like, people who know me, I don't really like talking on the phone in front of people, or even like recording stuff in front of people. I like just like my space, even if it's not really something that, if I care if people are like hearing me or not. But sometimes it's like I just like to have free reign, to be able to say what I want to say and not think about, is my mom like listening to this, like. And so I've noticed like later in the day, my folks will be like, in the living room or like the kitchen area, and like where my bedroom area is like right there, and like there's like a hallway, and then there's like the family room and the dining area right there, and it's just like a big open space. And so like I'm pretty sure they can hear, and even if they can't hear exactly what I'm saying, it's like just in my head, it's like, if I'm like talking about all kind of like gay topics and stuff or whatever I'm saying, like I'm, this isn't content that I'm creating for my parents. Like, this is not for them. And Mom, if you're listening, hello. But that's it. I'm not like trying to go that direction. And it's easier to record in the morning because there's nothing going on. The neighbors don't have their gardeners, nobody's outside like drilling or anything, like other than the traffic and stuff like that. There's not too much happening. But just, yeah, I think it's possible for people, if they want to shift their morning routines, just to kind of feel better, just to kind of like pay attention to kind of what is being consumed by your mind. That's one thing, that is so hard, I think, in our culture these days, because we're kind of like so glued to our phones and like apps and stuff, and it's cool. The apps are cool, they're entertaining, but I think sometimes the entertainment factor, like, they know how to like grab your emotion, of like what it is, so even if you just pay attention to like the titles of stuff, you know, there are a lot of people who are famous for not really making you know, like, I guess for making topics that are kind of clickbaity. Like, I think Robert Kiyosaki is one of those guys. Like, his topics are kind of like, you see the topic on there, and then it's like, okay, like, we've heard this already. Like, it's kind of like a very repetitive style of, like, content. Not knocking it, I'm just saying, like, I've noticed it is very clickbaity. A lot of the YouTubers that I follow, like Graham Stephan and those guys, it's like, the thumbnails are always like, oh, the economy's crashing, or like, whatever, you know, and then it's like, usually it's more like data. There's a lot of economic people that are like that too, that are just like, the data's there, but, you know, the thumbnail and just like the title just kind of grabs you. And, you know, I don't know, I might actually get to that level, because it is kind of like, you know, drawing people in, but at the same time, it's like, people catch on real quick when they start clicking on something, and they're like, oh, you were just trying to get me to click on this stupid thing. Like, you know, I think it grabs like newer viewers or listeners, but then once people are kind of more engaged with you, they kind of know that, like, oh, like, that's not really what this is about. That's just kind of what this title says, you know, like, those are two different things. But yeah, I'm trying to see how I can make, you know, my mornings kind of a little more productive and beneficial just to my natural style of things. Like, natural as in, like, you know, I wake up early anyways, so I might as well just be doing something productive. And just kind of like, you know, I don't prefer dramatic types of content or like intense topics and stuff like that. Like, I avoid the shows that are like that. I avoid news because it's like that. I mean, like I said, you know, I talk to people all day, so anything that's like, that's news, you know, I'm gonna be informed of it anyways. Like, I've never once not known about something that I actually needed to know about, just because I'm connected with talking to people. Like, if I were completely isolated, I might need to kind of be a little more tuned in to kind of what's going on. But I feel like if there's some kind of disaster happening or whatever, usually, you know, my clients are usually like, oh my gosh, like, this is going on, you know, like, you know, or do you have any updates about this, or what is your company doing about that? You know, like, they tell us what's going on. And so I don't think I need to, like, learn more about it, like, unless it's really something that people need help with. But it's like, you know, like with the heat wave, we had to learn a lot about the resources that we could connect people to, stuff like that. There's some homelessness resources in San Diego right now where people can call around noon to 211, and between the hours of noon and 7 p.m., they can get placed at like a hotel site, because the weather's like over 100 degrees, and so if people don't have proper housing or shelter, you know, they're eligible to kind of get into those types of programs. It's temporary and it can be daily, but it's temporary. It's only like 7 hours a day. And you're not really like, I mean, you have to, I don't know how people get there, if there's like transportation there or what, but, yeah, like, it's not just like they get a hotel forever, unfortunately, because that would be cool, but it's like, you know, you get somewhere to relax for like 7 hours, and it's definitely better than nothing. I mean, you could definitely get most of your sleep in, but I don't know what exactly happens during those time periods. I don't know if you get like a private room or if it's like a shared room or what, but I'm waiting to hear back if anybody I know gets placed, and then they can tell me what they did, and how the conditions were for them and everything. But that's the kind of stuff that I have as like news that I need to kind of know, like more like resources and support type of topics, not so much like just, all the possible negative things happening on the face of the planet. I don't think I need that. I don't think any of us need that. So, it is possible, to kind of alter kind of the whole daytime routine. Like, I'm definitely one of those people that's used to waking up and just being like, oh my gosh, like, why, like, why is today so hard? Like, this morning I woke up and I was just like, why do I even feel like I was thinking about it, and I was like, yesterday I woke up and I felt great, and then today I woke up and I did not feel great. And I was like, I slept the same quality the last couple nights, I mean, I ate differently the night before. But I still woke up around the same time. I don't know, it's just kind of a challenge. But with Jamie Messina's content, it was cool. It was kind of like, simple stuff, like, name 3 things that you're grateful for, or 3 things that you're gonna accomplish today. I mean, and I was kind of like, I'm not doing this exercise. It's stupid. Like, whatever. Like, I feel shitty. Like, I don't even want to, like, deal with this, and then after just like seeing people's comments, coming up, like people were posting the stuff that they were kind of like interested in, just even like listening to it, like seeing it, and just hearing somebody just talking about like positive topics, and like, seeing like the content where people are posting live of like, their comments about like what they're gonna do, things that they're grateful for, things like that. Just hearing it, I mean, that's a way more positive thing to kind of start a day with than like, oh my gosh, the weather's gonna suck. How sucky is the weather gonna be? Oh my gosh, like, what's happening in the economy today? Let me check my stocks and like see how much money I'm losing, and like, let me check my work emails and see all the crap, and like, let me look at all the, like, I hate how Microsoft Edge has that like what do you call it? I guess it's like a banner that's on like auto, it just auto kind of like shifts from like one slide to the next slide. And then it's just like all this news, and I'm like, I didn't need to know any of this, like sometimes I'm working and I'm just like, I open like a new tab or something, and that's the first thing that comes up. I mean, I need to deactivate that, but it's tempting to see it. It's like, it's there. I want to know, like, what's the bad? I want to know, and it's like, just trying to just actively tune out from it is hard, because we're bombarded with it all day, and you don't want to miss something important. You don't want to feel like you're missing something, and then like everybody else has access to certain information, especially with like pandemic related things, COVID, monkeypox, like, if there's some news about it, like before, like when they started telling us, like initially, like a couple years, well, I don't know how, like in 2020, when they were like, now we have to go wear masks in the store and stand 6 feet apart and stuff, like that was the kind of news where it was like, we want to know what's going on, because like, I don't want to go all the way to the store, then get turned away, and then have to go back home and then go get another thing or whatever, it's like, we didn't know, like this was like a new thing that we never really knew about. And so when stuff like that is happening, of course you don't want to be like in the dark about it. Like, you want to be informed, but you don't want to be like panicked and like worried and like bombarded like in a negative way. And it really is a fine line between like, understanding the details. Like, I'm pretty tempted to, tune into Japanese news. I've noticed that they don't really tend to do this like appeal to your emotions to kind of get the ratings and kind of make you kind of like scared and like they don't like do that. They kind of just tell you what's going on. I feel like American news is very like fear provoked, kind of like negative provoked. Like they want some kind of emotional tie to the content. And that's something that I'm kind of like, I feel like they could do it better, because I don't think it's healthy. Like it's maybe healthy when you have other things going on, when you're not in an isolated position, when you can easily just like be like, okay, this is just whatever is going on, and then it's not like stuck in your head. But it's like, if it's starting to like get like it can get to a problematic level, I think, especially when you're just trying to focus and like live your life and like stay motivated and like reach your goals for the day. Like you don't need more things like taking your energy to like take you out of what you're trying to do and what's working for you. You don't want something getting in your way of that with that. So that's kind of what I would say is kind of my current position on things, as far as like like at first I was like just trying to get my sleep better. I kind of got to that point, and now I'm like, okay, now that the sleep is good, let's work on this other stuff. So that's kind of what I've been working on more so is working on getting things more positive, just to kind of like get pumped up for the day and not be like starting my first like 3 hours of the day just like, this sucks and everything's gonna suck from now on. And like usually once I start working and I get like into the busy part of my day, like usually I'm not thinking like that, but it's usually first thing in the morning, or even when I'm pretty like depleted in the evening, I'm like, dude, I'm tired. And like, but it's mostly coming from like a place of being tired. It's like I've used all my energy for the day. So usually by night, it's like that's when it's kind of like, I'm trying to unwind. And sometimes if I'm pushing a little too much to stay awake a little longer than what my body and mind want to actually do, then it can be a little bit like not so helpful. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I know I haven't really posted in a couple days, but yeah, I'm just trying to consume better content, because when I think about how long I spend online, I mean, I'm online 8 hours a day just for work alone, and then in my free time, I'm not always online on my free time, but not like that online, like not watching videos necessarily, but it's like if I'm not actively doing like something hobby related, and some of my hobbies are online too, so it's like I'll be working on music or something. I mean, I need internet for that. Unless I'm just like on my instruments, but if I'm on like computer software, I need the computer to be connected to the internet. If I'm like writing or something, usually I'm writing in like Google Docs, because I don't trust my computer to not wipe out my information. And I just don't like keeping stuff like stored like that, but like on the hard drive. And so yeah, I need internet for writing and stuff like that. Podcasting and stuff, I need internet to be able to like post. Like I can record whenever, but I need internet to be able to post. And that's kind of like a lot of my time spent doing maybe those three things. If I'm indoors and I'm not watching something, I'm probably doing one of those three things. With the heat wave, I haven't really been working out indoors in the house, because I barely got a fan the other day, but I haven't really been working out too much in the house. But now that we're about to have a full house and my dad's coming in from Zimbabwe, I'll probably be at the gym more, just because there's really only so much time I can really spend with my folks before I'm just like we need space. You know, we all know that we all need space. Like, it's kind of like a thing that happens in our house where it's like somebody's gotta get out of here a little bit. Like, we can't all just like hang out in the same room all day every day. Like, that's just it's just not, it's not good for any of us. We all just kind of need our own bit of distance. Like, we get along in small spurts, but after that, I think we all kind of just get a little irritated with each other because we're so different. And it's like, it's fine, like, it's not a big deal, but it's like we all kind of have our preferences. Like, my mom likes to watch stuff on TV that's kind of like intense. She's really into horror and ghosts and, you know, surgery shows and all kinds of intense stuff like that. Me and my dad are kind of more like into sports, but like both of them, for me, they both watch the TV like way too loud. And then even just sitting there and trying to talk, it's like we don't really have a lot of things that we do in common that we want to talk about. Financially, we don't do the same things. Spiritual wise, we don't really do the same things. Nutrition wise, we don't really do the same things. You know, as far as exercise, we don't really do the same things. My parents garden. I don't really garden. I think cleaning is one thing that we all kind of do, but we all do it in our own ways on our own time. We just have completely different lives, you know. I'm out and about and kind of more social than my folks are. Like, my dad's kind of more like work social, church social, and like family social. My mom's more like homebody, socializes with the family. I'm more like, let's get out and party and get out of town and like take little trips and stuff and like go see my friends and like visit with people. And that's one thing that I'm super excited about. That definitely lifted my mood this week when I realized I had to be at a work meeting. So not that didn't lift my mood. I was just like, that's a little inconvenient that I have to go into the office next week. But then I'm like, okay, like, I got to make some plans with friends, so I'm gonna be, because hotels are cheaper now too, and I'm not gonna be paying $150 a night. I can stay longer at the hotel, so I've got plans coming up Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Thursday, this is next Thursday on the 15th. I'm only working 8 till 11. Then I'm going to drop into the office at like 11, pick up my business cards, say goodbye to one of the staff who's leaving, meet whoever's there that's new. A work party's starting at noon, so I'm not going to stay. And then I've got lunch with a friend. It's his birthday the day before, but we're going to celebrate on the 15th. Then I'm going to head up to LA. I took the 16th off. That's my mom's birthday. And so I'm going to hang out with my folks on the 16th. And then it's going to be the weekend again. So I'm pretty excited for next week because I'm not going to get to see everybody I want to see. But I'm like, that's a good record. That's going to be a good track record for me to have like about five days to just catch up with people I want to catch up with and not just be sitting at the house with my parents. When I'm in LA, I don't really socialize as much, just because of the convenience of it, or the inconvenience rather. Like, it's not convenient to be like socializing all the time in LA. Like, the people I know who live, I've explained it before, but the people I know who live locally, we kind of have like different kind of social boundaries a little bit, except for like a couple people. Most of the people I know kind of have a little bit of like ways that they socialize that I'm just kind of not into. And then the people that I really vibe with, you know, live pretty far. They don't live that far. It's like with like 30 miles, 40 miles away. But, you know, in LA, 30, 40 miles is like about 90 minutes of driving. So, it's far for that reason. It's inconvenient for that reason. But, yeah, ultimately it's still a blessing either way to be able to have friends in Orange County, San Bernardino, LA, San Diego. Like, just, you know, I'm a bit of a baby about the weather. So, And I got my snowboard season pass too, so that should be coming in the mail soon. It comes with a buddy pass. I got it extremely discounted, and so even though it's super expensive, I was just happy to buy it and be able to buy it, and that's getting me back into the gym because I gotta train, but I'm still trying to take it easy. I'm like, last weekend, I did kind of what I could. It was kind of like assessment weekend. So, things from the weekend were good. And then all of a sudden, as I got more into the week, today was the first day I was kind of waking up like, oh no, like here we go again. And, last night, I was kind of feeling kind of weird last night too. Like, I'm not really going into details about that, but it was just some stuff coming up. Like I kind of, you know how it is when you kind of have like an epiphany about something, or like a realization, or like you gain like more insight and awareness into like something that you're not really like vibing with. Like I've been having a situation coming up that I'm not really vibing with, and I kind of got more insight into it, and then I'm like, this is gonna take a lot to kind of deal with. So I just started noticing that when I was going to sleep, that I was like, this is another thing that I gotta start dealing with, but I will be dealing with it. But it's like, that's how I ended my day yesterday. And then I started this morning kind of, I think, a little bit on that same energy note, in all honesty, of just like, I came to that realization last night, and like, I don't really know. I haven't had time to really like create any kind of real planning around it. But baby steps, I'll still be posting like progress of stuff on podcasts and everything. But that's about as far as I've gotten for now. I gotta, my work alarm's gonna go off in like 3 minutes, and I gotta work in like 13 minutes. So for now I'm gonna log off of here and get a little more ready to start working, and start, getting my breakfast going so that I can work on time. And then, yeah, but that's it for now. I hope this is helpful. My mind is still a little bit all over the place. It is still a little early, but I've been up for a while. It's just, I haven't really had any food yet, so yeah. So all right, so with that, I hope this is helpful, and I'm gonna log off and start the part of my mandatory portion of the day of what I must be doing, that is required of me. Make the most of it. I got an 8 o'clock session, so I did that to myself, so I gotta actually be ready to like start. But yeah, with that, I'm gonna sign off, and thanks for listening.